is that no member of the royal family would slap another man on the arse in the middle of a so-called royal tour.
I don't think he was happy. He's just had a complete stranger tap his ass. He's done this to humiliate the guy. It is completely inappropriate. It is assault.
A royal moment that has set off a firestorm. A new video involving Prince Harry has just erupted online, and it's already being described by some commentators as one of those you have to see it to believe it moments. Within hours of circulating, the clip has triggered intense debate, sharp criticism, and a wave of conflicting interpretations across social media. What makes this particularly explosive is not just who is involved, but the setting, a relaxed public beach tour that suddenly turns into a focal point for controversy. A moment that may have lasted only seconds is now being replayed, slowed down, and analyzed frame by frame as viewers try to decide what actually happened. And as always with royal-related stories, the reaction is split right down the middle.
Prince Harry's freedom flight is no more. Well, at least if the Duke gets his way. He is attempting to scrub from the internet the famous video that he filmed from Canada to Los Angeles at the height of the first COVID lockdown to stay in the house of Tyler Perry. The now sex assault accused Tyler Perry, a man who at that stage, Harry and Meghan had never met in the flesh. Of course, the freedom flight doesn't work anymore for the Sussexes because they are attempting to portray this idea that they are now formally half in, half out royals. And as Duchess Pinocchio put it in a way that only Duchess Pinocchio could, it turns out that dimwit Harry wants to have this video removed from the internet now that he pretends to be a royal again, according to Neil Sean. Nope, not going to happen. Let me post it here. And Duchess Pinocchio did, and I'm going to share it with you now too. Let's watch because Harry hates this.
On the 14th of March, and we are on the freedom flight. We are leaving Canada, and we are headed to Los Angeles. Grandma's here. Hi, Grandma. Bruce here, with a ball in her mouth.
Why don't you say hi? You're about to go where Mommy's from.
So busy with the current situation, thanks to another amazing friend who we've never met, but who believes in us.
According to Taz, royal YouTube sensation, I think we have to remind the world what Harry was advocating for, what him and Meghan put out there, because it doesn't fit with their current narrative, but we have to tell everyone what they wanted then. Do you believe that he wants this to be disappeared?
Yeah, I do. I do believe it because this proves they were setting up a narrative for Oprah if the Queen didn't give them what they wanted. Now, they'd already made a list of demands when Megxit happened, and they turned around and said that we are keeping this, we are keeping that, we will still be internationally protected people. And then that's when obviously the Sandringham Agreement came up. The Queen said, no, but I will give you a year. And people seem to forget that she gave them a year's grace. Now, during that year's grace, this is when they did this, but we didn't find out about the so-called freedom flight, that footage that he'd filmed. I think it was either Oprah or Netflix. I can't remember which one came out, which shows that they were already beginning to compile a nice little book, a nice little file there of things that they're going to use when they didn't get their own way. When the Queen finally turned around and said, you've had a year, everything's being taken, everything's stopping. And this is where they had been building up there, as I said, a little file of evidence that they could use, which then we saw on Oprah and Netflix. So, of course, he wants it buried because he doesn't want people to actually put two and two together saying, hey, this was all part of the plan. And now Harry's trying to gaslight us by saying, I am still a working royal. No, Harry, you are really not.
I know. You really, really are not. And this is the thing. He can try as much as he likes to gaslight the world into believing something that we all know is not true. But I think he only has a very small amount of success, Tash, because then, as was the case this week, we see the real royal family.
Yeah.
We see what a real royal tour looks like. We see the class. We see the dignity. We see the true excitement. We see the political implications. We see the cultural implications. And I'm sorry, Harry and Meghan had none of that in Australia. And actually, they had none of that in Colombia. They had none of that in Nigeria. I would argue, Tash, that when it comes to Harry and Meghan and their faux tours, people sit back and laugh. It's a little bit of entertainment. When it's Charles and Camilla or William and Catherine, people look at it and think, actually, this matters. And that was the choice that Harry and Meghan made. It was a choice that we all knew they were going to regret. And that was the reason, Tash, why so many people within the British royal family, within their circles, desperately begged them not to go through with it. And why, again, let history not erase the fact that for all of the claims that the British royal family had tried to force them into some type of work that they didn't want to do, actually, it was quite the opposite. The British royal family, as I reported at the time, were bending over backwards to try and come up with an official half-in, half-out Tash, which would mean, for example, living in South Africa for 6 months of the year, still provided with full security, still able to tour the world, or maybe Canada as Governor General, or Australia in an official role. Now, all of those things would have had their own difficulties, but actually that was half in, half out, and it was rejected and it was thrown back in the royal family's face. And I don't think Harry and Meghan and their attempt to rewrite history will work, because we're not that stupid. But I do think there's going to have to be a bit of an effort from people like us to actually just keep reminding people what they are saying is not true, because the royal family either can't or won't.
Harry and Meghan, it's just lost on them. Like, Harry was only a senior working royal from late 2015. He was in the army for 10 years before that. So Harry only was a working royal for what, 4 years? I mean, he met Meghan in 2016. The date's obviously questionable. And then, they both decided to quit roundabout before they got married. That's all come out because they were plotting and planning Megxit. But the whole concept of what it means to be a royal, what public service and duty is, it's lost on them. Harry and Meghan didn't want to work. They didn't want to do public service and public duty, and they still don't. What they want is the prestige, the fame, and the perks that come with being a member of the royal family, but they just do not want to do cold, windy days and cutting ribbons. They don't want to be out there in the trenches, like Harry complained that he was out in Nepal. Who can forget him walking around in Nepal those years ago? And it was one of the things that he cited as when he had his burnout, because he couldn't cope with the fact that he had to go to Nepal. These people were still recovering from one of the most terrible earthquakes where people were living in shanty towns, and Harry was walking around these shanty towns where people are dying due to poor water supplies and everything else. And he's like, that was the day when I realized how awful it was. And now he's like, I am a working royal. I will always be a working royal. I'm doing what I was born to do. No, Harry, you're really not.
Then we come to Ms. Markle. And the fact that her own words are proving yet again, Tash, that she is a big fat liar. I mean, I don't know about you, Tash, but I don't believe the whole astrology grift anyway. I think it's all about her cosplaying Princess Diana. I really do. Yeah. Diana had the very close relationship with Simone Simmons.
Same with the psychic readers and everything else that she does. Yep.
100%. And so Meghan's like, oh, I need my own Simone Simmons. Mm-hmm. And so she's found this new one. But just in case you missed that, she posted Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius ending the hardest 7 years of their lives on April the 25th. Which was obviously earlier in the week. The tension between who you actually are and what the world around you was willing to see has been exhausting in a way that is hard to explain to people who have not lived it. Your confidence took hits it had no business taking. You questioned your creative direction, your spotlight, your worth. April 25th, the pressure lifts. You get the space to just exist without fighting for it, spirit daughter. Now, how do her claims of unhappiness stack up with the very clear message that she has been sending to the world at appearances like this?
confession for you today that I could very comfortably say is I'm the happiest that I've ever been. And that part, to have a partner and a husband who is just so supportive, and to have healthy kids that are so joyful in the freeness of their life and the safety of their life that we create for them, of all the things that have happened in my life, I never would have imagined getting here at this point. I would feel just so happy and grateful, and I really do.
So how do those claims of unhappiness, 7 years of unhappiness, stack up with that, Tash? I mean, which Meghan Markle are we meant to believe? And she wonders why people don't trust a word that comes out of her mouth. How do you know that Meghan Markle is lying, Tash? Her lips move.
Well, that interview was Time 100. That's when she was trying to tell the world that she was a successful entrepreneur because her jam was such a success. She was trying to sell flower sprinkles that bring love and joy to the world. So that was that personality. Now, the other personality has come through, and it just happens to coincide with Meghan and Harry now trying to cosplay being royals. Because for them, being royals was all about suffering, because that's what sold. It was the biggest payoff that they had. So at the same time that they are trying to now convince the world, gaslight the world that they are in fact still working royals, they can do what the royal family do, they're also, Meghan is reminding the world that she's been a victim as well, because that's what went hand in hand. Royal family, victims of royal family. And I'm sorry, the timing of them doing a blueprint of Catherine and William's tours, literally copying the exact same things, I mean, that is beyond creepy at this point. But then also Harry talking about the suffering he's been through, lying in the fetal position. Well, I mean, we heard him give the talk about him lying in the fetal position 3 separate times in Australia. He said it to the Movember guys. He said it to the girls, the teenage girls at the university. Then he said it at his other speech. We get it, Harry. We get it, Harry. You hate having a stiff upper lip and you like crying in the fetal position. But the point is, they're both simultaneously cosplaying royals at the same time of trying to remind the world that they're victims, because this is all they're capable of doing. And this is why it's so important that they're not allowed anywhere near our royal family ever again, because all they will do is just get new material, new conversations, new moments, and then they will hawk it, sell it, and play victims.
Yeah.
So
100%. But I mean, it is so shocking that her own words never stack up. They just never ever stack up. And are you believing the astrology shtick? Because there's nothing about Meghan Markle that makes me think she genuinely cares about this or believes it. I think it's trying to invoke Diana. I really do.
No, I think you're right about that. It's the same as it was the Australian astrologer that they met and they went out to dinner with in New York. Of course it is. Well, not an astrologer. She was a psychic. And, it's very similar to Meghan putting her hands on Diana's grave and then convening with the dead and saying that she was asking Diana for guidance. It's just all part of her weird obsession. Diana cosplayed, makes me think of single white female, except obviously Diana's obviously no longer here, which makes it even creepier. But yeah, she's cosplaying Diana. When it comes to astrology, my personal beliefs, I do think sometimes there's certain personality traits with star signs, but of what Meghan is trying to do, she'd just pick anything out of the hat any day. There could be a meme going around, something that she can go, I can make this about me. And of course, that one popped up and she's like, perfect. I think that's all she does. I think she sits at home on the internet all day long, goes, there's a new book out, there's something else out, there's something in there that I can try and make it about me, like Cookie Queens. I was once a brownie. I can make this whole film about me. I can take over. It's just her narcissism. All she does is probably sit there and just find the next thing that she can make about herself.
Indeed.
That was awesome.
But you really couldn't blame Celia Walden, the wife of Piers Morgan, but a star columnist in her own right for the Daily Telegraph, going viral this week for this column, Tash, headlined, Meghan has no reason to still be whinging after all this time. The strings on that violin must be almost worn through. If there is a statute of limitations on complaining, we've surely reached it. And then she spoke a bit about what Meghan's been doing over the past 7 years. And Celia Walden went on to say, sounds peachy to me. And I'm convinced she would instantly be 99% more appealing to people if she dropped the whinging. So how about that rebrand, Meghan? Even the astrologists think it's a good idea. And this is the problem, Tash. The woman cannot be saved from herself. But I did love Celia Walden's idea of a statute of limitations on Meghan's moans. It's like, look, come on. Come on, it's been 7 years. You are the one that wants to keep harking back to this so-called negative experience where no one had sympathy for you at the time because they knew how you behaved and they knew how you lived, and no one has sympathy for you now. Zip it. We're dealing with real problems in this world. People are battling cancer like the king. People have lost their leg like your own father. Zip it, zip it, zip it. Stop the whinging.
Capable of doing it because she's incapable of ever finding joy and happiness in anything that she does. I think it's just a sad trait that comes with someone who is a narcissist. They're just always constantly chasing something. And with Meghan, I just cannot see at any point in her life she's ever truly going to be happy. It must be a very, very sad and empty existence because, she's had so many opportunities given to her, so many unbelievable opportunities by Netflix, by Spotify, by the royal family. She could have done so much. She was given so much money, teams of people that could have made her a success. And there's people out there that are talented, that are just generally good people, and they could just make something of themselves and just be happy with even a fragment of everything that's been given to Meghan. But nothing is ever good enough. She's not happy with anything. And I think that's why Harry looks like such a tortured soul. But I've got no sympathy for him whatsoever. I'm glad those two found each other because at least then they can make each other miserable.
100%. Now, Tash, it's funny how even all of these days on, moments from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's tour to Australia are still going viral for their car crash nature. And I have to be honest, Tash, when I was speaking to Tom Sykes about this earlier in the week, I admitted to him, initially I didn't even think that it was real. But I did as much research as possible because, of course, it's what you've got to do these days. And I always try to independently verify every video because you can't always independently verify what you see on social media. Exactly, with AI. But my understanding, Tash, and I think it's your understanding too, is that this video that Queen Esther has sent viral is indeed real. And she posted, when is Prince Harry finally coming out? As the spare with zero path to the throne and a rapidly dwindling reputation, he's perfectly positioned to become the first openly bisexual royal. The timing feels right, Harry. Why not lead into it? And then came up with some of these previous images of Harry. Now, look, I'm not actually suggesting for a single second anything about Harry's sexuality, but if we just take a look at the video again, Tash, what I am suggesting is that no member of the royal family would slap another man on the arse in the middle of a so-called royal tour. It is completely unprofessional. Arguably, Tash, it's actually sexual assault. And that guy could have a case. He won't care. He'll be an Aussie bloke. He won't give a damn. And, I'm not suggesting that should happen. But what I am suggesting is that his behaviour is highly inappropriate. What did you think?
Again, like you, I saw it. And at first, I think it was Paula M that had tagged me on it. And I was just like, that can't be real. And then I looked at everybody's reactions. AI is very telling. Normally, you can tell by slight details of other people in the background. There's always a glitch. And there was no glitching. And I honestly was so shocked by this. It's more, I think what shocked and disgusted me more is that they had been to Bondi Beach. They had been to the site of the massacre. They were there to meet victims, people that survived, but also these lifeguards. These lifeguards were there that day. They had to give, medical assistance to people. They just trying to deal with that themselves, dealing with the aftermath. I can't imagine what that's like. So you'd think with having been there and doing that, it would stay with you. It's like going anywhere, where people have been killed. It's a somber sort of thing. Yes, it's lovely to meet people, and if it was cheering them up, meeting Harry and Meghan, then kudos to them. But to then behave like that, it's just completely bizarre. This man wasn't a friend of his. He wasn't on a lad's holiday. And like you said, could you imagine Prince William just tapping someone on the butt like that? But the guy's body language, he didn't kind of laugh and turn around. It wasn't like, oh, who did that? He turned around, and I don't think he was happy. He's just had a complete stranger tap his ass. And the bit I think that makes it worse is this is Harry's sense of humor. It's not just playfully tapping this guy on the butt or grabbing his butt, whatever he did. It's the fact that he's done this to humiliate the guy because there are so many people around them and all of those cameras, TV cameras, people taking photographs. So he's slapped his ass in front of all of these people, knowing that he can't do anything. And it reminds me, I think it was Taylor Hawkins, where he said that Harry slapped him around the face and then stood back near his security, knowing that he couldn't react. That's the real Harry. That is the real Harry. It is completely inappropriate. It is assault. And I just think it was very humiliating for that guy for him to behave that way. And
Prince,
Meghan's in the background posing with kids.
yeah, Prince Andrew like behaviour, you could argue. But speaking of Meghan, she also made a dig in a new video which has just emerged from this tour too. She's asked by an Aussie man to record a video wishing his daughter luck for her wedding. And of course, she has to imply very clearly, Tash, in my opinion, very clearly, that she didn't enjoy her wedding. No, it's not about the wedding. It's about the marriage. Because, you know, the United Kingdom was just so terrible, Tash, to spend millions and millions and millions of pounds of taxpayers' money, take a holiday, line up on the streets to celebrate her wedding. Weren't we terrible, Tash? Watch this.
All right. Ellie's ready? Okay. Ellie, I'm here with your dad. I just want to say congratulations on your wedding to James. Yes? Right, yeah. Enjoy the wedding, but it's more about the marriage. Have a wonderful, beautiful marriage and a lifetime of love. Sending you all the love in the world. That's awesome. Happy wedding day.
To me, Tash, it was so obvious the point that she was making there.
Oh, she just can't help herself, can she? But yeah, enjoy the wedding, but it's the marriage that makes it. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, you can't. I mean, I've just rolled my eyes with things like that with her. She just is the most ridiculous person. And she still is never going to stop, even all these years later, like what Celia Walden has said. It's not just Meghan's victim story. She's never going to stop making swipes. She's never going to stop complaining about all she suffered and all she endured. And when you think back to that incredible wedding that she had, you think back to that, every part of that wedding was just, you know, incredible, really. But the money that was spent on it, and she complained all the way up to the wedding. She complained during the wedding. She complained after the wedding. She used it. She weaponized her wedding. She uninvited Harry's friends. That was the first part of, you know, making sure that Harry wasn't allowed to spend time his wedding evening with people that he'd grown up with. And she invited celebrities as part of a business deal. Meghan used taxpayers' money, a taxpayer's wedding, as a networking event. And she set up deals for their future. So, yeah, taking advice off of Meghan for like how to have a happy marriage is like taking advice off of Harry to have good mental health. It's just
so true.
Sorry.
So true. No, it's so true. It's like if there's one person you don't want to wish you a happy marriage, it's Meghan Markle. Well, bless the dad. You can understand why he did take that moment.
Yeah.
Tash, another quite significant moment here in the UK this week, Tatler releasing its new royal edition, but invoking the very famous Tatler cover of Queen Elizabeth II for Prince William, with the headline, "A Prince for Our Times." And Tash, when I saw this cover and I saw that cover line, I immediately realized, oh my God, Harry is going to hate that, because what he believed that he was going to be post-Megxit, Tash, was a prince for our times. And the fact that it's William who is now being heralded as that has really got to hurt him.
Yeah, I mean, it has, but I think Harry's butthurt over everything and anything these days. He just wakes up and finds something to be upset about. But his brother is the future king. You know, he was born into that role, and nothing about that has changed. He hasn't walked away from duty. He hasn't walked away from his responsibilities. In fact, everything that has been thrown at Prince William, he has just continued to step up. I did like it. I thought it was much, much better than the Princess of Wales cover on Tatler. I despise that painting. It was terrible. But yes, I think it looks exactly like Prince William. I'd wished it was a more up-to-date Prince William, because Prince William hasn't looked like that for about 5 years. Now he's lost that bit of comb over on the top. He's got the sexy beard. He's got the chiseled jawline back. But it was an incredible picture. But yes, I'm sure Harry looked at it and got upset. I'm sure Harry did watch his father's speech and got upset. I'm sure that Harry saw that picture of all of the working royals together the other day, and that's why he decided to be upset, throw a tantrum, and tell Chris Ship over in Ukraine that I am still, in fact, a working royal. No, they're the working royals. You're not a working royal. In fact, you are now just completely insignificant.
Totally. I mean, that interview, good Lord, it was just a horror.
Oh,
a
Chippy.
True
Chris
horror.
Ship.
I know, Chris Ship. Oh, Chris Ship. Where do I start with Chris Ship? Tash, let's
Have
not.
you got any horticultural experts, Dan? We can't talk about Chris Ships unless we find out what the bushes are in season in the background.
Yeah, indeed, exactly. he will do anything, won't he, to try and make Catherine and William look bad. But he'll do anything not to ask Prince Harry a difficult follow-up question. It's like, mate, you're a journalist.
He's not allowed.
Oh,
He's
well,
not allowed. He's only given access.
I know, but that means he's not a journalist. It means he's a propagandist, and shame on ITV and shame on woke ITV News for that interview. But anyway, you know my views on Chris Ship. Tash, that's why we've got to watch your amazing coverage on According to Taz. She has been covering the royal state visit all week, so do make sure that you subscribe to According to Taz on YouTube and X as well. Tash, thank you so much. We will speak next week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your company today too.